Good evening. Thank you for tuning into Mirror Now. I'm Aarti Subramaniam. If you're a student who was preparing for your CBSE 10th and 12th board exams or your ICSE 10th and 12th board exams, or a parent of such a student, well, the government today has told the Supreme Court that these exams which were scheduled to be held in July will not take place. Now, there are two separate rules. The government has said all CBSE exams for standard 10 stand cancelled, but for standard 12, students have been given an option. Either they can give either their assessment will be basis previous exams and internal assessments, or alternatively they could give their exams later this year. That option has been left to students. This is for the CBSE 12th standard exams. Now, ICSE on the other hand has said both the 10th and 12th exams stand cancelled. These decisions were informed to the Supreme Court today by the Solicitor General, who was representing the Ministry of HRD. This has been a hugely contentious subject, remember, because students who've been preparing for their exams have been staring at an uncertain future. They don't know when their exams will be held, whether they will be held. And this option, though, of cancelling the 10th standard exams completely, but leaving the option open for 12th standard students to decide whether or not they want to give those exams later this year or base their assessment on previous exams is something that has been left open to the students. There have been plenty of reactions coming into this. Students have, of course, been given that choice. But it was an interesting hearing that happened in the Supreme Court today, and Meenakshi Banja will join us in just a bit with all those details. But ICSE, on the other hand, has said that all the students, their evaluation will be based on an internal assessment system, and they are not planning to reschedule the exams anytime later this year. Okay, we'll try to get to Meenakshi in just a bit, but let's get you some other news from Karnataka. Incidentally, even while there has been this whole discussion and debate about whether CBSE exams should proceed as per schedule in Karnataka, today the exams, the state board exams were underway. This is the class 10th exams, and it was held amid a lot of security preparations for the students. There was screening of all of them. There have been a number of provisions that have been put into place, including social distancing norms and also the use of masks and sanitizers wherever possible to ensure the safety of students. Now, Neha Hebbale caught up with the education minister. He has been personally overseeing these developments. But before we go across to Karnataka, Meenakshi joins us now for more on what happened in the court today. Meenakshi, interesting developments in court. The Supreme Court did have some questions for the government on how they plan to implement this entire order and how they manage, how they're going to undertake this new examination, this new academic calendar. Just take us through what happened in court today.
Well, that's right. You see, this was a very high-powered development, and clearly something which has been mulled over by the government internally, because the petitioner also was taken by surprise. The petition, of course, not surviving, because at the outset it was the solicitor who informed the Supreme Court about these two decisions. Of course, earlier it was for the CBSE, and then ICSE also informed the Supreme Court as to how it is looking for now to cancel the exams and only conduct it in the foreseeable future when the situation is conducive. Now, when that situation is going to be conducive was a question that the Supreme Court posed, to which we saw the solicitor say that it will really have to be waited out and it has to be observed, because nobody has an answer to when it will get better. But that apart, yes, Aarti, there were some very pertinent observations and questions from the Supreme Court. Remember, that is the reason today on this matter no orders per se have been filed. And why is that? Because the Supreme Court is awaiting a reworked, amended notification which the government is to submit in the court tomorrow. And after perusal of that notification only, we are looking at some possible orders. Now, what will that notification contain? That notification will contain clarity on the issue of option between internal assessment and exam. That also has to contain clarity on the status of the role of the state board exams and the clarity pertaining to the date of results. So these are the three critical aspects which really need fine-tuning, Aarti. And that is the reason the matter has been kept pending. But nonetheless, a very important development coming in from the Supreme Court, where the Government of India categorically told the top court that the exams which were slated for 10th and 12th standards stand cancelled. We do not know a time in future when they will be conducted. It has been left open-ended, saying that it can only be conducted once the situation improves.
Meenakshi, thanks so much for that. Now, of course, there's been different examination patterns in different states. Now, while some states have chosen to cancel the state board exams, others have gone ahead with it. Now we have the CBSE and ICSE that's saying the 10th standard exams are going to be cancelled. 12th standard, they have an option whether or not to go ahead with the exams. So all around, there have been very divergent strategies that have been adopted by various states, and there's a bit of discordant notes all across. Now, Karnataka, for instance, has decided to go ahead with its board exams. 10th standard board exams were held today. 8.5 lakh students have given these exams under extremely protective environment. We've ensured that all the environments are sanitized, there's social distancing maintained between each student who is writing the exam. The Education Minister has been overseeing this personally, and Neha Hebale caught up with him. Take a listen.
By and large, the situation is much better, and all the boys and girls whom I met, they are in very high spirits. If I had asked them, how is the Josh, they would have said, hi sir. So that's the mood of the children, and I feel they are now feeling fulfilled because of the long wait that D-Day has come for them. And we had learned some lessons from the PUC examination. So those lessons are helping us in this examination. So by and large, my estimation is the attendance as at present is between 95 and 97%.
So now we're also seeing that, there are some students who are unable to appear for the exam today because they may have contracted the virus or they may be in quarantine. So what about those students?
I have been repeatedly assuring them that they need not worry. So they will be allowed to sit in the supplementary examinations which we are holding in the month of August.
Neha Hebale joins us for more now. Neha, you heard the minister say that the Josh is high among students, but you went to various examination centers this morning, spoke to students and parents. What was the sense that you got from them?
Well, Aarti, to be very honest, most of the students we spoke to were, in fact, petrified to even be at the examination centers. And also, it's not just the exam pressure that's added on them, but also the fact that, many of them did not even have proper access to their classes or to their revision classes for the past 2.5, 3 months. Because it is important for us to remember that several of the students, especially from the rural areas who are writing their exams today, may not have had, access to a device or a proper internet connection. And there are a host of issues really, but we really have to, of course, see how this pans out now. And more importantly, Aarti, it's also not just the students who were worried, but also several parents, who were just unwilling to actually move from outside the examination center, who had to quite literally be, moved out of there by the police authorities. Keeping in mind the fact that overcrowding around the centers was also something that does bring to concern. But another important aspect to this, Aarti, is that several students who actually gave the examination today are now hopeful that at least the remaining examinations do sail through smoothly. But also it's important to remember that this added pressure has not been very savory for many. We're also seeing how one girl student already in the Belagavi district of Karnataka has committed suicide while investigation is underway. We're understanding that the parents of the girl have alleged that it was the examination pressure that really forced her to the extreme step. So as of now, of course, what we understand is that while the parents and the students, are of course under a lot of anxiety at this point in time, we really have to wait and see how this pans out. Also important to bring in one factor here, Aarti, is that in the recent examination that was held for the class 12 students, the English examination, there was a parent of a student who had tested positive, owing to which several other students have also gone into quarantine now.
Neha, thanks so much for that. Yeah, certainly it's going to be very difficult for these students. It's the exam pressure plus the added burden of giving an exam in these circumstances, which are absolutely unusual to say the very least. Neha, thank you so much for joining us. We'll keep a track on how the students are coping up with their exams and the pressure of doing it in the COVID era.